Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. What you're looking at right now, it's more than just an aircraft carrier. It's a floating fortress, a war machine designed to project power and dominate entire regions. This is the USS Gerald R. Ford, and it's the ultimate advantage in naval warfare today. We're about to show you the revolutionary engineering that makes it the most advanced warship ever built. If you enjoy this kind of deep dive into military tech, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss what's next.
All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to talk about why the legendary Nimitz class needed a replacement in the first place. Then we'll get into the Ford's incredible power generation, its game-changing launch and recovery systems, that wild new radar, and how it does way more with a smaller crew. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together to arm this ship for the future. So, for decades, the Nimitz-class carriers were the undisputed kings of the sea, the absolute backbone of U.S. power projection. And make no mistake, they are incredible ships. But their design is from the 1960s, and after years and years of upgrades, they were basically hitting a wall.
Exactly. As tough as the Nimitz design was, it just ran out of room. It couldn't really support the next wave of military technology. The biggest problem? Power. There just wasn't enough electrical juice to run all the advanced systems the Navy was dreaming up. And on top of that, the maintenance was getting more and more intense. It became pretty clear that to keep that technological edge, they had to start fresh.
And that fresh start began right at the heart of the ship, its power plant. To really get past the old limits, the Ford needed a massive generational leap in how it makes energy. And, that one change affects absolutely everything else the carrier can do. And the scale of this power jump is just staggering. Look at this. The new A-1B nuclear reactors on the Ford kick out 3 times the electrical power of a Nimitz-class carrier. That one statistic right there is the foundation for every single advantage we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and all that extra power isn't just for keeping the lights on. It's what makes the Ford future-proof. This huge energy surplus means it has the capacity for stuff that used to be science fiction. We're talking high-energy lasers and electromagnetic railguns. And get this, the new reactors are actually simpler, with about half as many parts, which seriously cuts down on maintenance. Oh, and since they're nuclear, the ship has basically unlimited range. It only needs to refuel about once every 20 years.
So with all that power on tap, the next logical move was to completely reinvent the most fundamental job of an aircraft carrier, flinging planes into the sky and catching them when they come home. The Ford literally throws out century-old steam and hydraulic tech and replaces it with pure electromagnetism.
The old steam catapults were effective, sure, but they were a nightmare to maintain. And more than that, they launched planes with this incredibly violent jolt that puts a ton of stress on the aircraft themselves. The Ford's new system, emals, uses a linear magnetic field. Think of it like a maglev train, but for a fighter jet. It's a smooth, controlled, but incredibly powerful acceleration that's way easier on the planes and a whole lot more reliable.
And it's the exact same story for a landing. The new Advanced Arresting Gear, or AAG, swaps out the old, clunky hydraulics for a smart, computer-controlled system. This lets it make these tiny, precise adjustments, making it versatile enough to safely catch everything from a heavy F-35 fighter to the super lightweight drones that are going to be a huge part of the future.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the ship's eyes and ears. On a Nimitz carrier, you see this whole forest of different radar antennas sticking up, and each one has its own specific job. The Ford integrates all of that into one ridiculously powerful and streamlined system.
This is a perfect example of that smarter, not harder thinking. The dual-band radar combines 2 jobs into one. The S-band part handles the long-range, wide-area search, while the X-band is an expert at tracking really fast, low-flying things like sea-skimming missiles. By mashing these together into one system with no moving parts, you massively reduce maintenance. And by getting rid of 6 to 10 separate antennas, you free up a ton of critical real estate on the ship's island.
And that idea, that theme of efficiency and automation, it just runs through the entire ship. The Ford is built from the ground up to generate way more combat power, but with a much, much smaller crew.
And this number really tells the whole story. The Ford class runs with a crew that's about 25% smaller than its Nimitz counterpart. We're talking hundreds of sailors. That reduction is a direct result of putting automation everywhere it makes sense, which not only saves a ton of money over the ship's life, but also just reduces the chance for human error.
But here's the crazy part. A smaller crew doesn't mean less capability. It actually means more. Thanks to all that automation, a redesigned flight deck, and better elevators, The Ford can generate 30% more sorties, that's flight missions, per day than an nimitz. For a ship carrying over 75 aircraft, that 30% bump is a massive increase in firepower.
Okay, so we've established the Ford is more powerful, it's more efficient, and it can get more planes in the air. But the real reason for all these upgrades, the ultimate goal, is to create a platform ready for the weapons that will define the next 100 years of war.
And this is the part where it all clicks. That incredible power generation, the extra deck space from the new radar, the advanced cooling systems, none of that was just for today's mission. It was all deliberately over-engineered to create the capacity to host truly game-changing technologies as soon as they're ready.
And here are just two prime examples of what we're talking about. Laser weapon systems. They need a ton of electricity, but they can offer a nearly infinite magazine to shoot down drone swarms or missiles, and each shot costs just a few bucks. And then you have electromagnetic railguns, which use that same power to fire a solid chunk of metal at over 7 times the speed of sound. A weapon like that is basically impossible to defend against. The Ford is built specifically to use these systems.
And that brings us to the big picture, the strategic impact. The ability to actually put these next-gen systems on a ship is what creates this massive technological gap. As this quote from Defense Updates points out, this isn't a small step up. The Ford class is such a significant leap that potential rivals are decades behind, not just in building a ship like this, but in even developing the basic tech to make it possible.
So it really leaves us with this one powerful question to think about. When a single ship can generate the power of a small city, launch jets with magnets, and use weapons that move at hypersonic speeds or even the speed of light, it completely rewrites the rules of naval power. The Ford isn't just the next carrier, it's the blueprint for what sea dominance is going to look like for a long, long time.
Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. We hope this breakdown of the USS Gerald R. Ford was as fascinating for you as it was for us. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit that like button, share it with someone who might find it interesting, and of course, subscribe to the Global War Watch Network. What are your thoughts on these insane technological leaps? Let us know down in the comments section below, and come join our community on social media. All the links for that are in the description. We'll see you on the next one.